Is this good?
Yes. Hello, Oracles. Welcome to Ladies Night plus Tim and Vin. This is going to be an awesome evening. So I want to welcome Amy, aka Tesla Proud, Fa, aka Fa Sky, Jen Strahan, and Vin from Investment Club. So tonight we are going to be discussing what the next 6 to 12 months could possibly be for Tesla stock and the overall economy, but the bright future that we have ahead of us after that. So we did see some warnings coming out from both Cathie Wood and Elon Musk recently about the Fed raising interest rates, potentially pushing us into a recession. So what do you guys think about what we could see for the near future?
I think I'm just speaking openly here. If, for the near future, we're going to see stuff kind of plummet a little bit. We're going to see it going to go down. But, instead of like panicking for it, like it's really a buy opportunity. So like buy what you can, do what you can. And some companies allow you to buy partial shares, some allow you to buy whole shares. I, for one, have a son who's 19, and I encourage him to buy every time he gets a paycheck, and just what he can afford. And I just think that that's the outlook you should have on this, is just it's a buying opportunity. And not just with Tesla, but like with companies that are, in that kind of line of a good future.
And just a reminder to everyone, none of this is financial advice. This is just things that we are doing ourselves.
Yeah, I think that we might see a Santa rally, actually. Like we're seeing a little bit right now. So, the CPI is going to come out on the 13th. So that's the consumer price index. And that's going to tell us, if inflation's getting hotter, if it's cooling down. And if it comes in hot, the Fed might have to go 75 basis points. That's going to just slam the market. We are not having a Santa rally. Christmas is canceled. But if we go 50 basis points, then, you might see a little bump. However, they're still raising interest rates. And that's what everybody keeps forgetting. It's like if they're already high, they're going to continue to go higher. We have to see unemployment go up. So it's not done. We're not ready. The Fed hasn't pivoted yet. The bottom's not in my opinion. So, enjoy the Santa rally while it's here. If it were me and I was leveraged, I would want to deleverage during the Santa rally. That's what I would do. This is not advice, because I think it's going to get bad. I think that as money gets more expensive, PEs are going to compress, and the higher PEs aren't going to be tolerated, in the next 6 months. And I could see, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I could see like Tesla's PE compressing to, 15 to 20. So be prepared, because that is a 50% drop.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of the same stuff. And that's what I was just going to ask you is, PE compression, we've obviously seen a lot of it happen already this year. How much further down could we compress? But again, we got the PPI today, came in at 7.4 versus a 7.2, still moving in the right direction. We do need to remember, granted, we missed expectations, but we are still coming down, but we still have a long way to go.
Oh yeah, markets are cyclical. So it's not like the sky's falling and that's it. The world is done. Okay, we're going into a recession. It might be some people's first recession, so it's scary. But you know what? They end. Recessions end, and then we have another bull market, and then we'll have another recession after that, So take this opportunity, make some notes for yourself, learn those lessons, If you lose a little right now, don't let it be in vain. Learn the lesson, make more the next, make better decisions the next market.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Elon tweeted a few hours ago, if the Fed raises rates again next week, the recession will be greatly amplified. And I just feel like, for me, the best thing to do and stay level-headed in these times, like you said, just as long as you're staying away from margin and unnecessary risk, if the fundamentals are still the same, if not better, and the price is lower, every other world you go shopping, that's a sale. So that's the way I look at it, and just staying prepared for if things do get worse. But, Tesla's enterprise value to sales ratio is 7 right now, and that's the same level it was at in 2016, 2017 time period. So just ask yourself, is Tesla better off, worse off, or the same, situation it was in 2017 as it is now? And that's kind of everything I need to know.
That's a really great point because, I mean, some people would say it's still undervalued, and I would agree with them if I didn't see the macro page. If there was no macros involved, I'd be like, oh my God, yes. And no one can really time the market. So you might be very right. And we could be very close to the bottom or at the bottom. So, you never want to try to time the market. Like, if someone's not at margin. So people are in very different situations. And I think, Tim, you and I were talking about that because you had said something about, well, people should just be DCAing and it's not that big of a deal. And I was like, yeah, but there are people that maybe live off their portfolios. And, this drop is really hard for them. Or maybe they're saving for a large purchase. So there's just like a lot of people in different situations, but absolutely. If that is your plan, you're DCAing, then yeah, like stay your course. Like sometimes you have to change your plans if things really change drastically, but don't let a bunch of talking heads, whether it be on misinformation media or YouTube, don't let them change your mind. Do your own research and trust yourself when you have a plan.
Yeah, one of the things I've been encouraging people all year is be an agile investor. Especially in these times here, anybody who's still in margin, you're using it is like, we had these talks back in March about margin. Like, it's nuts if anybody's still in margin now. But, you got to be agile. Things are going to change. We're in a market that's always fluctuating. So just be agile. I mean, my personal take is I'm dollar cost averaging daily, but I also put a good chunk into cash. So I have both. So I can take advantage of the opportunity if we dip further. But in case we don't, I've got money in the game. So that's the way I'm doing it. But again, everybody's got a totally different situation. And again,
right. There's some people that are holding like huge accounts, that, they're just watching like, I don't know, $1 million evaporate. So, or they sell a big property and then they have like a chunk of money and they have to kind of figure out like, well, do I throw it all in now? Do I wait? So yeah. I don't know. What about you guys? Fun, what do you think?
The good thing is right now. I think if you make your investment journey, it's like everybody, right? Everybody have different circumstance. Someone looking for retirement. Sorry about my dog. So I went all in 350K in February, my friend. I'm like, yeah, it's gone down.
Well, what's your average share price?
So I have two portfolio. The small one is 215, which is right now still red, and the big one that I moved money from Thailand, that one is super red. But I can see why a lot of people get angry. I can see why a lot of people like, do something about it. But it's the journey. It's a journey. Everybody take the journey investing, So like James said, we just have to learn from it. It's gonna be boom and bust. It's a cycle. So when it's boom again, you have planned what you want to do with the money that you gain, and when it's bust again, what you're gonna do. You plan for the worst and you hope for the best. In 6 months though, I listened to Lee, the Tesla economist guy. Everybody worry about China, but he said China have expansion, big expansion. They make huge factory. They're gonna make so many different cars, semi, Cybertruck over there, and I don't know. I've never been in China, but I think CCP, they're not gonna let their people go poor. In the past, what they do, they lift people from poverty up to middle class or to make the people rich. But even though they're fascist, they're like they've locked down and stuff. But moving forward, I don't think they want to make the people poor. And like everybody know, the world moving forward. We in America, I'm from Thailand, third world country. We super poor over there. And even though it look like this, like, what the fuck? If we're doing this, we in the first train of the world, like the hyperbolic train of the world. We in the front of the world, and we will keep moving forward, no matter what, no matter recession or not, no matter people get laid off. The more people, the more educational people, it will be fine, I think. Or maybe I just tell myself that.
No, you're right. That's a very good perspective. And
there you go, Fa. Super poor, but best food ever. I definitely want to visit there and try some myself. Yeah, I think what's going on in China right now could be very similar to what we saw here in the US during the housing crisis, and look at the boom that we had after that. So if that's what China is going through right now, sure, might be tough for the next couple of years for them. But when they turn around, this could be amazing for Tesla.
well, I think China's actually really going to be slamming and for one reason, they're going to make the most batteries. And I think that is going to be what matters in 5 years, is what country makes the most batteries, period. That's what you see in every industry. They're looking for the ore that makes the batteries, so all the materials, and then the technology that makes the batteries, and all the companies that are moving forward have to do with their limitation boils down to batteries. Yeah, going forward, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the competitive edge. So, I would watch out for who is making the moves there. China definitely is willing to do the things that they need to do for their country. That's why they have a presence in Africa, and we really don't. And Africa will be going through an industrial revolution like we did. And that's going to be huge growth, like the entire Southern Hemisphere, like Thailand and everything. They still have a lot of growing to do. And China's making sure that they're going to be a part of it. I really wish that the United States would be more proactive about that so that we could also be a part of it, because I worry that China's going to pass us big time.
There's a lot of people out there talking about just that. And Fa, how do you feel about Tesla going over to Thailand?
Oh, a few of my friends in Bangkok take delivery, so I'm enjoying the picture. I'm happy. Bangkok is a big city. If you sit in the car, it's a lot of pollution. So if people buying Tesla, and the price is not scary either.
Oh, the
good. Price is close to like BMW or some fancy Camry. It's like, why? So it's nice. I think I saw it in Twitter. I don't know if it's true. They sold 20,000.
Now, one of the questions that I've heard for over in Thailand is, how about their charging infrastructure? What's that looking like over there? Because we know that power could be an issue in Thailand.
I have no idea. I think they probably pay electrician to have the charging, just like us. I have no idea.
Do you think that they'll go with solar over there? Because that would be like a great opportunity to like have their infrastructure in solar, like some of our Tesla chargers in the US are.
I see when I go back to Thailand last time, the hotel or the hospital, they start to have some solar. They start to use their own electric. They don't depend on the grid so much. That's what I see. But I don't know about the supercharge. I don't know at all.
I don't know if they can really, if they have a need for superchargers so much, because I don't know if you're going to do a whole lot of long distance travel via Tesla, because how good are the roads? Like when you get out, like once you leave Bangkok or you leave the major cities, like how good are the roads? I mean, we're thinking about like our American roads or like European roads or something like that. The roads in Europe are the best, I feel like in Germany or something. But if you think about like the third world and stuff, like Fawn was saying, like they're not the greatest, so, and sometimes they're dirt. So I don't know if somebody who owns a Tesla is going to be driving all over the country. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. Cultures are very different in the way that they travel.
Yeah, I would think that they would have to have some kind of charging infrastructure, just because like even where I live, I drive on dirt roads all the time, or I'm driving in snow or like crazy conditions, and I'm going over like crazy passes. And
but it's safe in the US though. You don't have like that security risk. Like if you're in India, there's like major security risk to leave like your house or your hotel. Like you have to bring like private security with you and stuff. So, you know, they'll be facing those things in other countries and stuff. I mean, you can plug a Tesla into any 110 outlet. Technically, you just like dog bone it down.
Yeah, for days.
I believe there might be something between the big cities, something between Bangkok, Phuket, or Bangkok, Chiang Mai. I do believe we might have some. So if you go to Spain, Thailand is like Spain, or Italy, it's like that.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's
Yeah.
only not all dirt road. We still have some dirt road, but it's the main street is pretty nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see. I'm just going through some comments here. If there's a Santa Claus rally, how high can it go?
Well, that's a good one.
I mean, my personal feeling on that is whatever rally we get is not going to last long. You know, we still have the Fed has a lot of their balance sheet they need to knock off. I know Chicken Genius had just posted a chart today about how the Fed funds are coming down. It's trending down just with the market, but it might be breaking trend. So if it breaks trend, this might be the bottom. Really don't know. We just need to monitor that. But, you know, until we get that clear signal, I think that's what's going to kind of happen is any rally we get is just not going to last long.
Yeah, and that's something you have to remember is, you know, in every market, it's not a straight line. Like if you take like, just look at even Tesla stock, you know, and zoom in like really, really close to the weekly chart or something of any year, and you'll see like some ups and downs, like you're going to have highs and lows. So there are going to be these like bear market rallies that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, you know, we were talking
once
about,
we see like Cybertruck, so, you know, let's say 6 months out. So, all right, the recession's going to happen. It's good. The stock's probably going to fall. I'm saying, and this is just my uneducated guess, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm saying it's going to go from 140 to like 100. Somewhere in between there is going to be the bottom. So sorry, you know. And then we're going to come back up, right? So like load up, you know, buy all the way down because you don't know where it's going to end, kind of thing. Not financial advice. And then we're going to start coming back because then we're going to start seeing Cybertruck. I feel like the minute that we find out all of the details about Cybertruck, like we don't know anything about it yet.
Yeah.
When they trot that pony out, people are going to go nuts when it actually is a thing, you know? And then they start delivering them. Now, here's the problems though. We're going to miss Q4 expectations. I'm pretty sure. You know, I don't know. I don't work at Tesla, but I'm pretty sure we're missing Q4 expectations. If we don't meet or beat in this market, the stock's going to fall. So, and they report in January. So expect in January, we're probably going to have a sell-off, I would think.
Yeah, should be January 25th, I believe is going to be the earnings.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was going to ask you because I pay attention, but not that close. And then I, messaged somebody who I know is paying really close attention. And what else is going to happen? I feel like Cybertruck's not really going to get delivered till the end of the year. And everybody's expecting it in like June.
Yeah, I think with a Cybertruck, we may see, my thought has always been July. I think we see first deliveries coming from Cybertruck in July. But
right.
Again, it's going to be like very few. It's not like we're going to be seeing like 10,000 coming off.
Before that, we all thought January. Remember when we thought, oh, we'll get it January. We thought, oh, we'll get delivered Christmas 2022. Do you know what I mean? So like.
I know I have 3 on order and I'm still waiting.
I have 1 on order and, I'm very happy that like the full self-drive is locked in, low.
We hope. Let's say we hope.
It said it was locked in. So I don't know. I have a screenshot. So.
What's going on, Farzad?
Oh, hey, Farzad. But yeah, so, so I think that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to kind of hold us back. But man, when we start printing Cybertrucks and then just the volume that Tesla does, and it's undeniable and their margins are amazing, they're going to renegotiate contracts and it's just going to snowball.
I think that's, go ahead.
No, I think that's where we're going to really see this year is, margins. And I don't know if you guys saw the tweet thread that Pierre put out discussing how, if we go into a recession like we could potentially get into, we may see not a 50% growth. Maybe we only see 35 to 40%. Maybe margins come down to, 27, 28% versus 30, which is still outstanding. But if that's all priced into the stock price right now, we're going to see it fall down from that. However, when we come out of that, Tesla's going to learn how to cut costs even more, and we're going to be exploding even more coming out of this.
Exactly. And I think something else we have to really think about is the fact that Tesla's not just a car company. They're an AI company, a robotics company, a battery company, and everything else that they're making. And, we're going to I don't know why the semi event didn't launch a little bit of like a boost in the stock price, because that's amazing to have like Tesla semis out on the road. But it's okay because I'm all about woohoo buying power. But, it's so much more than that. And I think a lot of people only see it as a car because they haven't really dove into it. They don't really understand it. They haven't done their research or paid attention to where it's actually going and how it's more of an umbrella company, if you think about it. And it's housing all these other things that are so incredible. And it's not the only one. And he's got several of these companies, Boring, SpaceX, all of those. It's incredible. And I think that people look through a small peephole and they don't look at the bigger picture and the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, that's the beauty, is that this is maybe the first time in history that you've got, it's really like 8 startups in one. I know that they've referred to it as, but usually you invest in a startup, they have one product, maybe a couple if they're lucky, and they're unprofitable. Whereas Tesla has these 8 things going on the back of a highly profitable auto business. That's able to, fund this into the foreseeable future. I mean, they're on track, with as bad as things are, just like going back to the fundamentals, like 2022, everything that could go wrong has been going wrong. But yet they did 3.2 billion in free cash flow last quarter. They're on track for probably somewhere around 10 billion free cash flow for the year. And so I just look out, even with, just the cars, like what we know today, where they make their money. With the 4 gigafactories, I mean, they could probably get up to 40 billion in free cash flow. Like that's the runway in the worst case that we're looking at here. That's with like no growth and everything else. And that's, I think, what's going to end up being an advantage for them as well, is you compare them to all these other giant auto companies that, I was just reading Stellantis was closing a factory. I forget where, I want to say Idaho, somewhere in the US. They're all going to be downsizing, but Tesla, in the worst case, is running this agile operation. They're not supply constrained, not demand constrained. They're going to sell every car that they make, at least for now. So, when you look at it through that lens, they're going to sell every car they make. So let's say next year, whatever that number is, it's like for every 1 million cars they sell, or a little bit more than 1 million, they're bringing in 10 billion in free cash flow, and that'll keep funding all these endeavors.
Vin, that's a great point. When you said that, the number one investor in Tesla Energy is Tesla Automotive.
Yeah, that's true.
And
what's really, what's really positive too, that will come out of a compressed PE, is institutions like to see compressed PEs. They like to see the little PEs. I think that's what possibly what Charlie Munger and Buffett are waiting for is like a PE of 15 or 20. I think then they're going to buy in. So, it may give us a stronger floor. It might give us more institutional investors, and then less of a retail float. It'll make the stock less volatile. So coming out of the recession, I think we're going to be a lot stronger. I think that our retail investors that are left are going to be a little more battle tested. They're going to be not on margin. Hopefully they'll all be like, no, we learned our lesson, And so I think that the stock on itself, not even talking about the company, will be a stronger, in a better position with a better base. And moving forward, we won't ever see that low. But we have this whole, we can see the next year, it's kind of probably going to be a little flat. We're not going to be slamming up to the highs like we did before in 1 year. So we have all this time that we can just buy more. I mean, it's kind of a gift. So, all things considered, I know right now it sucks. It's going to suck for a little while, but it's like in a year, when we talk about this next year, we're all going to be like,
Yeah.
Oh, that I'm so glad that that's done, but don't we feel great,
You
At
know,
the
that's
same
one of the
time,
things
like,
that
a little time to like gain more.
yeah, when I was a personal trainer, what I taught all of my clients was embrace the suck. So
Mhm.
embrace this suck for the next year. It's going to
Mhm.
suck, but I guarantee you it is going to be worth it.
I mean, these are the markets that make you millions. Like, I remember the last housing crash, watching my mom and my sister just like slam. They were flipping. They had a lot of buy and hold and everything, and they made a lot of money in the last housing crash. But there was a lot of suck, and there was a lot of weird stuff they bought too at like auction and houses that like the homeowner was still in it but hadn't paid their mortgage in 3 years, and it was a very strange circumstance. But anyway, so but it was a weird time. It was a very weird time. So
think how quickly it changed. So it's like
Oh, yeah.
this is a perfect example for me. Like if we're going to go into like the interest prices and things like that. I recently bought a new house last year, exactly about this time. I was able to lock in
Congratulations.
2.2 interest rate.
Mhm.
2.2, amazing. This time right now,
Beautiful.
the same house has over a 7.5 interest
Mhm.
rate, and that's for good credit. Like that's for excellent credit, like what we had. Like
Yep.
I can imagine, like we would have to buy half the house we bought.
That is why the recession's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why there's no question, because what's going to happen is that, the demand for housing is going to compress, and it's just going to be like where they can't take it anymore. And then people are going to have to sell, the prices are going to come down. And then as the prices come down, as housing prices come down, people are going to sell out of positions because they're going to be like, oh, there's these great deals in real estate. I got to like change asset classes. And so that's going to start to happen. So you're going to see more capitulation because of that. Like there's like, it has nothing to do with the company. Like I agree 100% with Vinny on like the company's the greatest company ever, 100%. But you can't fight the housing market declining so much that like you can buy a house for half price.
There is one difference though with this crash compared to the one in like 2009.
They're always different. Yeah.
It's different because, in this market, when things got boosting, like people were buying houses in cash, they're buying for low interest rates. So when it crashes, people aren't going to be selling like they were before. They're not in a high interest rate home. They're not in those positions.
No, well, they might be on adjustable rates. A lot of people have adjustable
rates, but if you're
right, or other adjustable debt, and they get like weary of holding it. That's the other problem with the interest rates staying high for longer. Like, and Jerome Powell said that he's going to hold the interest rate higher for longer. Well, that's one of the strategies that I use when I negotiate is I wait for like a weary seller. I'm like, oh, you've been on the market for a long time. You're tired. You're mine, so people, they give up.
And this is exactly what we've been seeing with a lot of Tesla investors on Twitter recently is a lot of people are getting tired and giving up. And we saw this week, I think was the peak week for just emotional distress for Tesla investors.
Yeah.
people,
I mean, sometimes
I
people
feel
take me
bad.
wrong,
I feel
Huh?
bad.
Go ahead,
I feel bad.
I
I feel
know.
bad. Like this is a lot of money, and you just make decision because of emotion. I just like what?
Yeah, you
It's
can't make
stress.
emotional
Definitely getting
decisions with
squeezed.
investing. But again, when you make, even if you made that emotional decision, like Fa, you said you bought back in February, obviously the stock price was significantly higher back then. But your thesis was, I plan on buying and holding for 5 to 10 years minimum because I see the potential in the company long term. And as long as you can remember that's why you got in the stock at that point, because it's not like you bought in February with the plans of selling in December. You bought with the plans of not even
No,
selling. So why is that
I
crossing
just
people's minds?
for me, I just count the number of share.
Yep.
I stop look at the price. I'm just like whatever, and I just like okay, I have 1,200 share. Oh, I have a 1,400 share. Oh, like it's. I feel good about it.
Well,
If I can buy at if I can buy at 169, I feel good about it. If I can buy at 140, I feel good about it. I scratch my head. I got it at 350. Why? But I believe in it. I believe in it.
Exactly.
It's like I read a cartoon back in the day when I'm a kid, I'm like, oh, we can talk to someone in our hand. Someone can be another side of the world, and it's happened, you know. It's like, oh, my car can just suck the juice from the sun. Oh, it's happened. Like, oh, what else, right? And if we don't depend on oil, and Saudi Arabia stop selling weapons and no war, and I will be like, oh, that's right. That's why I buy Tesla. Like,
That's a good
bigger
reason.
than just, yeah, that's something bigger than just, oh, it's 300 and now it's 170. Elon sucks. It's like, dude, grow up. Like, I in Twitter, and they blame everything on Elon, and I'm like, have you done everything significant in your life, sir? And most of them are not. They're just complaining. So I'm like, so if they lost a lot of money because they make decision from their emotion, who am I? I just gonna, okay, it's sad for you, but it's happy for me then. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
One of the things I think about is we're down 50%. Are we going to get back to all-time highs? Absolutely. So if we get there, that is going to be a 2x on your money now. So if it comes down further, let's say it does come down to $100. That's now going to be a 3x when we finally turn around. So, you know, you can really multiply your money. That's why they say fortunes are born during bear markets, because these are the times where you're going to have this opportunity. When we come out, we're not going to have PE compression. It's not going to last forever. We're going to go back into an environment where PE is going to expand again. So just, that's why you buy when there's on sale.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful word. It's a beautiful word. They say fight your fear. Beautiful word. Every time you have fear and you make your life decision from your fear, that is what? Coward. There's no bravery. How are you going to moving forward if you scare of everything? So it's a beautiful word. It's fight your fear. And it's, life is uncertain. No one wants to see it go down to the 100. A lot of people losing money. A lot of people do margin. They're going to get margin call. But we have to fight it. And you like plan for the worst, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's why
what
I keep
see.
telling people, like, stay away from margin, because, you know, I think there's a strong signal from the community to buy the dip or to buy, you know, or to DCA. And I think that we don't finish the sentence, like, but with cash, you know, like DCA with cash, because I think a lot of people got used to really cheap money. I mean, we have had a decade of really cheap money, like 0% interest rates. And, you know, if you're, I mean, margin was like 2.5%. And now, and I've asked some people that I know who have margin, like, what's your margin rate, blah, blah, blah. I have heard rates as high as 11% already.
Oof.
I was like, what? Huh? What? That's insane, you know? So, and I think some people don't understand how margin works, and that you can actually lose all of your shares and still owe money. You know,
Yeah,
I think people don't realize that can happen. So I don't know. I don't like that these brokerage houses will loan people margin without making them like take a test that shows that you understand how it works, and that that can happen. And so that's why I'm always like, when people are like, oh, Tesla's the greatest, I'm like, it is the greatest, but, you know, there's a recession coming, and people are like, Jen, stop being negative. I'm like, I'm not being negative. I'm just saying that, like, we need to watch what we're telling people, because not everybody is as knowledgeable as, like, you are. And, you know, and I think people take it the wrong way. And I'm like, I'm not being negative. I'm just trying to, like, make sure that we all make it alive on the other side. You know, I don't want anybody to owe $1 million and have no stock and jump out a window or something. That would be super sad. You know, it's like, I want everybody on the other side, and we all have a party in Vegas, and everybody's like, wasn't that crazy? I hope you bought as much as you could, you know?
Yeah. What are your thoughts,
I think
Jennifer?
I'm social. Sorry.
What are your thoughts on limit buys?
Limit buy.
So limit buys is when you like set the number that you want to buy at. You set your price. So with some brokerage houses, you actually save money if you make limit buys. So I want to say Robinhood now. If you guys don't know about this, Robinhood will charge you an extra 5% for market orders. So you have to set limit orders. So, limit buys, I set them sometimes, especially if I have to pay attention to other people and I can't stare at my brokerage app. So I will set them. I like limit buys, but if I feel like the stock's moving, I will not set one. I'll like cancel them. So
yeah, I usually, just because I do follow the charts. So I've got, all my charts, I've got my different levels. Like
you have a job though that you have to be at. I'm a stay-at-home cat mom who indoor gardens all day. I'm living my best like suburban life.
Yeah, so like I'll just check the levels and I'll be like, all right, I like this level here. So even if I don't set a buy, I'll set an alert and I'll be like, all right, cool, we're here. Because I usually buy fractionally anyway. And so I was like, all right, we've hit that 167. I'll add my extra at that level. Awesome. I'll set it for the next level below that. So that's how I roll. But I like limit buys just because, like, for somebody who's busy and working and you can't follow the charts all day long,
right.
just it's better to set it, because otherwise you may see, oh man, we dipped down today and I didn't get my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have just learned about limit bias. So I'm like super new to this.
Okay.
But like for viewers out there that don't know about them, like that's a really I feel it's a responsible way to buy. Like your limit and you know it's there and you know how much you're going to spend. You need to be prepared in your bank account to spend that much money, or and it's just there and you know what happened and you're like, I got it at that price and I can feel good about myself. It's like waiting for a pair of shoes to go on sale, which sounds
well.
funny.
You can also set stop loss orders too, so that if you say you bought a stock for $50 and it's gone up to $100 and you're like, well, I'm really excited it went up to $100, but I don't want to lose all my gains on this, so I'm going to set a stop loss at say 75. So I'm going to stay with this stock, but if I lose half my gains, I'm out. I'm going to book that profit, because nobody ever went broke taking profits, y'all. It's okay to sell your shares. Okay. I'm not going to judge you. So anyways, say the stock drops and it hits that 75, it will sell, because you have your stop loss. So it's the same way like that. You can set it and not have to worry when you're at work, like, oh my God, I got to watch and see if I have to sell my shares because the world is on fire.
Yeah. One of the things my dad taught me, which was great, he has his awesome system set up. He's more of a swing trader than a long-term investor. But he has it set up and he's got, a system. He's like, all right, I'm going to buy a stock at the price. He's got his limit buy, goes through. When the stock goes up %, he's like, I'm going to make sure I guarantee half of my gains. So he sets a stop loss for 4%. So if it goes up higher than that, great, he makes more money. Otherwise, if it comes down, he protects himself, makes his little bit of profits. If it runs from there, so be it. He still made profits, moves on to the next thing.
Yeah, very smart.
That's very good.
Yeah. Yeah. We should do another day when we're not drinking. You can teach us these little things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My dad's brilliant with math. And so these are little things that he's taught me, and he still learns all the time. So he's learning a lot of different things, and of course, like he says, you can't win them all. You're going to lose some things, but you go in, you protect yourself, and you're going to lose some, you're going to win some. But overall, he's done very well in the market based upon this strategy. And usually, the highest he'll go, I think he said was like 12%. So when he's got a 12% gain, he puts in 6% from there. If it goes higher than that, kind of judges it depending on the stock. If it's a high growth stock, maybe he'll go to 20%. Otherwise, he just lets it ride from there. And, once you lose 6%, you lose 6% and you're out.
Huh. That'd be fun to do with a little portfolio. I like to test things out, so I'll just have a little test.
Yeah.
Huh?
It'd be fun to play with one. Let's play with one.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. That's actually what I had in my Robinhood, because I have most of my main accounts all in TD, and then in Robinhood, that's exactly what I did. I was like, well, I got my small account here. Let me play around with stuff.
That's what I do in Robinhood as well.
Yep.
We moved everything, over. We have several different accounts. We have some with, we don't have to name the brokers here, but we just have different accounts. And
yeah, I would not name the brokers, because my husband yelled at me for flashing our account, because I got mad. Somebody challenged me, and I was a little high on Twitter, and I was like, oh yeah,
Oh yeah, I almost one time put it up with my account number on, and I was like, no, let's not do that.
No, my account number wasn't on it, but I was like, I'll show you, and I did. And then my husband was like, did you did you just do that? He was like, you have to take that down. He goes, you have to move all of that now.
Yeah.
So, because he's in cybersecurity. So I was like, oh God.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he yelled at me for that, but not yelled, but he reprimanded.
Jake, the secret agent.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, so don't tell anybody your brokerage has, because then they'll like, if someone can figure out like your email address, then they'll just put it in, and then they'll just try to crack your, code, your password.
Good luck guessing my email address. I have 19.
I have a question.
Yes.
What is the longest time that you hold one stock? The longest.
Gosh, I think Tesla's actually the longest I've held because I'm at.
Same.
Yeah, Tesla's the longest.
How long?
So for me, gosh, when did I buy mine? 2 years ago. It was right when it was right at the S&P. So 2 years, actually almost 2 years to the day.
Yeah. I've been holding since 2012.
Wow, nice.
Wow. So 10
I haven't
years.
sold a share. Touched it.
How you feel? What is your 10-year
I feel
journey?
pretty good. Like I honestly, I get like a little red in the cheeks right now if I think about like the excitement I have.
What's your cost basis? $8?
It's low. Some of it is like from us, and then my husband's parents are obviously invested into it, so that's super cool. And then his grandfather was invested into it since Tesla began.
Wow.
And so like he passed away during COVID, but so it's just all like into the family trust. And so it's really cool. So it would be really hard for me to say what our cost basis is if we combined all those things. But yeah, we're doing, I think, our lowest share that like we bought, like on average from everything I've bought since and added to it. I think my average says it's like $72 a share.
Oh, nice.
So, but that's just like the average. Like if I told you what I bought my first share for, it'd be like you said, like $12.
Dang.
Like it averages out, so it's hard to like really be like for sure.
So you've been through the 2019 that they said Tesla gonna go out of business. You've been through all that.
Yeah. So Amy, how's your feelings on these times now? Because in talking with my subscribers, some of them who have been longtime holders are like, this is nothing right now. We've gone through worse because going through it before, the company could have technically gone bankrupt. Now there's not a concern about that.
We were so close. And this is, we were just buying stock before we bought our car. And I didn't even want to buy the car. It was like, no, I don't know. And my husband is such an amazing man. And he was just like, can we please do this? I was like, well, if we do this, like, we're just going to buy a Model 3. We're going to check it out. But I would need a dual motor because we have snow, but I don't want a performance. And it was like this whole thing. And like, so I traded in my Chevy Tahoe, which I loved my Chevy Tahoe, I will be honest. But I'm in love with my Tesla. I got in it and we got it in a snowstorm. We got it delivered in a snowstorm. So we had to drive it like 40 miles from our destination place where we met the people delivering it. And I didn't even know how to drive it. We had no tutorial because our sales rep had to go to a funeral. And so it was like, we just got in the car and we were like, well, good thing we watched YouTube.
That's true, because going from a Tahoe to a Model 3 is like going into a spaceship.
Crazy. And we're like, okay. And it was totally, that's why I told my husband, I was like, I'm driving a spaceship. This is insane.
That's how I feel too.
It was so incredible. It's like the most incredible thing. Like the smile still on my face. The feeling is there every time I get in my car and you punch it and you're like, but yeah.
So now,
I will tell you one thing. I have a friend on Twitter. His name is Paul Kelly or @Shortword. And he is an amazing, crazy Tesla driver. So if you ever go to Ireland, definitely ride with him.
So who else here owns? So Fa, you own Tesla. Vin, you don't own one. No. And Jen, you've got one on order, right?
Only shares.
I have one on order. However, I was planning to get that tax credit, and I don't know if we qualify. I have to double check because I was like, all right, let me read the fine print on this tax credit, right? And it is a non-refundable federal tax credit. So does everybody understand what that means?
Break it down for us, because some.
All right, so this is very important. All right, so there are refundable tax credits and there are non-refundable tax credits. So a refundable tax credit means that you can get a refund. So if, say you owe $1,000 in taxes and you have a $1,500 refundable tax credit, then it would wipe out the $1,000 that you owe, and then you would also get a check for $500. Okay, but if it's a non-refundable tax credit, it would wipe out the $1,000 you owe, and then the $500 that's left over. Too bad, so sad, because you didn't owe enough taxes. You don't reap that benefit. Now, some of the non-refundable tax credits roll over, like real estate losses. That's a whole thing, whatever. But this one does not. It does not roll over. So you have to take it in the year that you buy the car. So now I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. Now I got to look and see. Do we qualify will we qualify next year? I don't know, because Jake's still in the military. And for people who do not know how military pay works, almost half of your pay is not taxable, because it's like a housing allowance, a clothing allowance, a food allowance, and stuff like that. Travel nurses are like that as well, where they have a housing allowance. There's a lot of jobs that they'll pay you in a housing allowance, which then is not taxable, so it brings down your taxable income. You know, people like getting compensated that way. But when you have a non-refundable tax credit, you kind of get screwed. So it'll be interesting, because, you know, my Model Y that I reserved is very expensive. Like, we looked at the Model Y last year, and it was, I think, $12,000 less. And I have a feeling that this next year they're going to drop the price. So I don't know. It's still on order. I'm going to do the math. We're going to find out. I called my tax guy and I was like, can we figure out if we're going to owe that much in federal taxes? Because we're also landlords. Landlords, they run a big deficit because of depreciation, real estate depreciation. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's let me see. That's one of the things that I was doing the math on mine too, is I'm like, you know, I don't know what I want to do, because I just did mine, and actually mine, they told me yesterday that it was canceled. So they called me up and they said, hey, you know, I thought it was canceled. They said, we're reopening it for you if you want to take the $3,750. I was running the math, and my situation's different because I want to buy a house. I don't have a place to charge it. It's just logistically not the wisest move for me to make right now to buy it. So I'm waiting, but doing the math on it, because I had my pricing from back in March, I was going to do much better off paying for it now than waiting. But as you said, Jen, I've been thinking about things with the Fed raising the interest rates, with us going into next year. Costs of goods are going to come down across the board, which means that the cost of producing the Teslas are going to come down also, which means that by the end of next year, we might actually see price cuts coming. Elon has already said it. You know, the prices have gone up. I mean, what are they up 20% since 2020? That's insane. So if that's the case, we might actually see price cuts coming at the end of next year. Now, I don't know if that's actually going to happen. And who knows, we already saw what happened in China when they came down with prices, and all of a sudden demand dropped off a cliff because people were waiting. And I said that initially. I was like, initially we'll see a demand cliff come, but then the demand will pick right up and skyrocket. It'll be that V-shaped bounce that we'll get off of it.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm like, do I just wait for that? And that might end up coming at the end of next year.
That's true.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, it's very individualized depending on everybody's situation. I mean, and even like in the States, it's different because each state deals with vehicles differently. So like in Virginia, we have personal property tax. I just got our personal property tax bill. Thank you, Virginia, for sending it just right around the holidays. It's fantastic to get this bill. So we have a travel trailer, right? It's a 2019 travel trailer. So, and they value it at like $19,000. It's not a super fancy travel trailer, right? And then we have a 2018 Ram 2500. I don't think that either of those are very super luxurious, but the Commonwealth of Virginia does. And they charged us $1,500 this year in an extra tax. Isn't that nuts? Now imagine how much they're going to charge me for that brand new Model Y that's $80,000. It's $3,200 in an additional tax. But when Jake retires next year, he's probably going to be exempt from it. So when you add that and you add the $7,500, I'm already at 10 grand. Even if they don't drop the prices, I'm like, ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah. You also have to think about though, like even with those tax prices and those hikes, like owning an electric vehicle, the maintenance is so low and you're not paying for gas and you're not paying for those other things.
My card's paid off though. I know. It's
like
very individualized, you know.
The most you're buying is tires, and then every now and then I have to call Tesla service to come to my house, and like, please replace my cabin filters. Please do this, and it's like, and it was affordable. It wasn't crazy, like, and they're mobiling to you, and I think that that's like a really incredible thing to have the option to do those things. I mean, for bigger things, obviously you have to go into the service station, but it's rarely. Very rarely, and most of the things are fixable over the air, OTA. You have to think about like the value of that, the value of your time, the value of the money you spend doing that. Like I can't, like when I had an ICE vehicle, the amount of like, it was constantly this or constantly that, and you need a new hose and you need this, and you like, you know, the Tesla has like what, like 18 working parts. That's incredible.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, no, that is pretty sweet. And there'll be demand compression though, because I'm not buying a Tesla. And anybody who wants a Tesla, like Tim and I, we're not buying a Tesla. We're just buying a Tesla later. So yeah, I think Tim's right. We're going to see that V compression, you know, that V where it's like, it might drop off and then it's going to be a huge demand on the other side.
I'm just curious, have you been like in a friend's Tesla? Have you test driven?
Oh, I've driven them. We have a neighbor down the street that has one, and every time I went to be like, I'll buy a Tesla, I just bought more stock. So, you know, and I drive a Lexus RX 350, so it's not like I have like not a great vehicle and it's paid off. It's very hard to be like, oh, I'll just get a $1,300 a month payment. No problem, you know, because I mean, I guess, you know, whatever, we'll trade in the RX 350, but it'll probably be like an $1,100 payment with the interest rates these days, you know? So.
Yeah, definitely with the interest rates these days. Like when we bought ours, I think like our payment on our Tahoe was like, and we had bought it like 2 years used, so it wasn't like brand new. I think our payment on it was like $600 a month.
Right, because it was probably like 40 grand, not 8. I think my sales price was like 8 too, you know?
I was spending like $800 a month in gas. So really my payment on it now becomes $1,400 a month.
I know, that's the other thing that's hard. I don't drive anywhere.
Think about that.
Yeah, Jen's got a long commute.
I'm just at home, huh?
Yeah, Jen's got a long commute.
Yeah,
that's where it makes more sense.
Yeah, you commute to the kitchen from the living room and then to the bathroom, and yeah.
It really is like super a luxury. Like I get it. Like if I had to drive somewhere, yes. And really, I want the Tesla because I have horrible road rage when I do drive, and I need it to drive for me.
Oh, road rage, girl, calm down.
I know. I don't know. I get triggered. You know what it was from living in Germany, and they drive so perfect, and I came back, and I was like, what happened?
Yeah, everybody here is like their own rules. 100%. We just came back from Germany, so I 100% get you.
Okay, yeah, you know. And they're all like, Americans just staring at their phones, just bouncing the lane lines all over the place, doing 70 and in the left lane and an 80. You're like, get out, move, you know?
Exactly. Fa, what's the driving like where you're at?
I just drive to the grocery, drive to doctor office, bring my dog to the park. That's it. I'm not really going anywhere. I stay home too. The thing that I'm so grateful about Tesla is the dog mode, because if I go to LA and it's hot, I don't want to kill my dog, so I just leave it in the car. I went to Disneyland and I leave my dog in the car for 6 hours, and they just chill in it. It's just comfortable. It's comfortable. And the only trip we take right now is just go down to LA and come back here. I live right next to San Francisco, Sausalito. So drive one trip in a gas car is kind of tired. So before I leave, I will make bed and I just car camping places, stop here, eat a little bit, take a nap, and then keep driving. It's fun. I
I love
upgrade from my 3 to the Y because of the car camping thing. The 3 I cannot get up because they have the bar in the back,
yeah.
and the Y is just wide open, so that's fun.
Yeah, I think about
Yeah.
switching to the Y. I agree with you.
When
have
you go
friends-
to Napa and you get a little drunk and you have your bed right in front of the winery, that's like friend.
I'll be right next to you in the Tesla next to you. Yes, ma'am.
Oh my God,
It's
that's so
like-
perfect. Because I had a friend who used to work at a bar, and I was always like, man, I wish you guys had like a napping room. That would be perfect. Let me have a few drinks, go take a quick nap, come back out.
So there's
So
this
no-
thing called
no
Harvest
driving
Host,
drunk.
and all these wineries and breweries, they'll host RVs. Like you can stay overnight. You just have to become a member of Harvest Host. So we're members of Harvest Host, and whenever we travel, we, instead of like stopping, like we'll go to like see my husband's family in Michigan or something, and we have to stop overnight on our way, and we'll stop at a Harvest Host and like drink at the winery and then sleep in our RV. It's the greatest thing.
All right,
That's
got a
nice.
question here. Jay Lizard, is it better to invest in Tesla stock or in a vehicle? Last I heard, Teslas are actually increasing in resale value. So that was the truth. That was what was going on. But of course, we haven't seen any price hikes recently. I don't think we're going to see the price going up on any Teslas anytime soon. So whereas that was true, looking at October of last year, if you had bought a Tesla, it would have been a much better investment than investing in the stock. Now, don't know if that's so much the case. What do you guys think?
I'd agree with you 100%. Like, I think it's better if you're comfortable with it. And always do your research on a company. Make sure it's something you believe in when you're investing in it. That's just my opinion, not advice. Yeah, but I would be investing in the stock as well.
I'd have to say it depends on your timeline and it depends on your intent. So if you're buying the car because you're going to put it on Turo, it might make you more money than the stock if it's in the next like 6 months or whatever. But if you're talking about long term, you know, you spend the same amount of money as the car in the stock and then you just put it away and forget about it for 10 years. Definitely the stock is going to do better. So, you know, figure out where you are between those two things. And, you know, I would hold each one in my mind and be like, which one do I feel more comfortable with or more like connected to, and kind of lean in that direction.
No, what do you
Does
guys
anybody
think?
ever do that where you start to like, you're like, I'm just going to go with this really weird thought and see how I feel about it?
Oh, yeah. So now, what do you guys think? We obviously have the Cybertruck coming out this year, and we have the talks about I believe we are going to be getting the compact car, whatever it's going to be, in 2024. I've been saying this since last year. I have no doubt we're getting it around that time frame. So when we end up getting that, what do you think that's going to end up doing to demand on the Model 3? Or do you think that's what Project Highland is for, is to bring the Model 3 down in price so that it's not going to become obsolete?
I don't think that it's going to affect the Model 3 the way that we think it will, because I think the smaller compact car will be from like maybe like a single person or like a couple that doesn't have kids or things like that. So I think it's just affecting a different market. And so I think you have to look at it like that. Like, yeah, there might be a little bit like, whoa, I can get this. And then they're going to realize, no, I actually needed that. And there's going to be kind of like this moment of like deciding and like, maybe I made the wrong choice, or I could do with less, or I need more. So I think there's going to be a balance with it, if that makes sense.
And where do you think they're going to come out with it first? Do you think it's going to be here in the US or China?
Honestly, probably China, in my opinion, just because the demand for it there and like is higher than it is here. Because honestly, as Americans, we live more than we should. We have bigger things than we should. Our roads are bigger than Europe's. Our roads are bigger than really, we're kind of insane. So it's just a fact of the demand versus where the necessity is. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably going to depend on the take rate of FSD and where we are with FSD, because I could see Model 3 being the $35,000 car once the cars are like cell phones, where it's kind of like a platform for something else, you know, for an operating system. So, you know, if FSD is like super compelling that everybody absolutely wants it, I can see FSD going to like $40,000-$50,000, and the car's coming down in price. So it's like, yeah, you could get the car, but like, it's not really cool unless you have FSD. So, and then maybe there's a subscription model, of course, like we have now. Now it's really cheap now. I hope everybody realizes it's not staying that cheap. But you know, people forget about subscriptions. Like, how many of us have at least 1 or 2 subscriptions that we keep meaning to cancel and we forget? Like, it's like your Paramount, CBS Plus, I don't know, something, you know, and you're like, I keep meaning to, you adore me. Anybody else? Is that just me? Where you're like, cancel this already, you know? And no.
I don't think it's going to be kind of like that, because it's like you actually use it. And here's my take
No,
on
I
it.
know, but you forget to cancel that stuff. Like if you mean
Not
to, you know what I mean? So no one ever can't sign, you know, you sign up for stuff and then that's it. You're like a lifer. Even if you want to cancel something, it takes me like a year to like remember, like freaking cancel that, you know?
Yeah, I might just be slightly different than that, but
you don't have something you forgot about, like you signed up for Palm or something, like, you know, like Amex had like a promotion, like free 6 months, and you're like, oh, try it out for 6 months, and you forget, and it, you know, and it renews.
Yeah, no.
Am I really?
I look at my credit card.
I'm just gonna drink my wine. Just talk amongst yourselves.
No, that's fine. I understand that happens. That's just not something that happens to me, and apparently not to him either. But no, I think, you know, like FSD, like with my Tesla, I bought my Tesla in 2019. They told me it was going to come for a while. It arrived in 9 days, and I was like, oh, I bought a Tesla, and then 2 days later, FSD came out, and it was $2,000, and I was like, well, we'll buy it. So I bought FSD for $2,000.
Wow.
And now I can't sell this car because I'm like, I can never get FSD for $2,000 again.
But now, Amy, you can sell it for $15,000 FSD because so that's like a $13,000 gain you got.
Yeah.
But I gave it to my son.
All right. That's fair.
He turned 19, graduated last year. I can't see putting my kids in anything but a Tesla because it's the safest car on the road, and I value their lives. And like, I'm not going to buy them some crappy Honda Civic or Ford Focus. No, thank you. Like, I care about their lives, and their lives are worth that amount of money.
My son's grandfather bought him a 1990, I think it's a 93 Mustang. So,
nice.
So I was going to give him my Honda CRV, which is just a little, say, POS box, but you know, it was still fine. But hey, you know what? That's fine. He's going to get that. But I told him does well in college. I'm going to give him my Tesla. So
exactly, and that's what you have to do. Like, people ask me, why would you do that? It's, you know, we're not made of money. We're not over here like swimming in it or anything like that. But I want him in the safest car. Right now, we share it because I'm waiting for my Cybertruck to arrive, and I also ordered an Aptera. We don't need to talk about that now, but I did order an Aptera. So like, he lives in our basement apartment. So he rents it from us. I make him pay rent because I'm that kind of mom.
That's
he
good.
should learn
That's
the
awesome.
value of life. He has a job. Like, if you're not going to college, that's cool. Whatever you want to do, but you got to pay rent. And so, you know, like, we're trying to teach him those values, and he's doing better and better with it. Like, he's becoming more responsible, and we share the car right now. We're really good at sharing it. And then he knows the other car is coming, and then it, you know, becomes his. But I think that's, I don't know. I'm really happy we're able to do that.
So when do you guys think, you know, going back to the whole vineyard thing and driving around, you know, having to go take a nap after drinking, when do you think FSD is actually going to get to level 4 autonomy, where robo-taxis are going to be real on the road, and we can go to a vineyard and then be like, oh, you know what? I can't drive home, but my car can drive me home.
I think we're at least 2 to 3 years out of that, honestly. I mean, it's doing great now. Like, I have FSD. I used it. It tries to murder me only every now and then.
It murders me less every week now. It's awesome.
Every week it's less and less. But you know, it's also your environment. So in Napa, it's going to do better than it does in Colorado, where like I have snow and it's like I'm just making up my own lane, like every other driver on the road.
I think there may be the lane, one lane that is like computer car driving, and you only be in that lane. And it may start from point A, from this supercharger to this supercharger, that you can just put your eye mask and sleep.
think
to
you're
make
right.
it 100%, like, okay, no one need to pay attention, it's probably more than 5 years. But it must start somewhere. In China, they have a smart road that the electric car go on the road, and that road charge your car while driving. I cannot wait for we to have that. It's one lane or 2 lane or whatever lane it is, but the electric car go on there, and then they have another special lane which is full self-driving. You don't have to pay attention, and the car talk to each other, and it's go like a symphony. I see that.
That's one thing a lot of people here in the US don't understand is China is significantly more advanced than us in several ways. And we don't get that here. We don't get that knowledge here. We don't see that. So it's great to get that feedback knowing that they have that kind of technology over there.
They have the smart speed bomb that if you are not speed, if you come in a normal speed, that the legal, that speed bomb is going down. But if you come fast, that speed bomb is coming up. They have a bunch of that stuff. I cannot wait for us to have it,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's not no, Foss. Somebody had asked earlier about if you know how the Chinese workers over in Shanghai feel about Elon. I don't know if you know anything. I don't know what connections you have for anybody over there. If you knew anything,
I don't know. I know a lot of people want to move here. They have money and they're like, I want to go to America. I send my kid to go to school over there. I want to go. I know those people, but I think it's hard to leave if you have business and stuff. And how they're gonna get their visa, right? So that's right. I'm not know about that. If I have a bunch of money, like money is not what I worry, I will want to move myself to America. I will, just for the better opportunity. That's what I think.
Even though
that's the thing that they have to worry about in China is like what she just said. If they have a lot of money, they would want to leave and move to here. You know, that's not good.
Yeah. So when it comes down to there are some areas where they have better technology, but they don't have the same freedom. So obviously we can see right there what's more important to normal humans.
Or quality of life. I mean, there are some countries that really aren't very free at all, but their quality of life's fantastic. And so they don't really care, like some of the micro countries in Europe, I mean, I don't know, Liechtenstein, women can't vote. They don't care.
Really?
It's a strange little fun fact. Yeah.
It's just not voiced. Like it's not allowed to be voiced. So they might still care. But let's talk more go back to your stop loss stuff. So I want to understand that better.
Okay. So now it depends. And I mean, it should be just regular through your broker. You could just do a stop loss. So when you're going to sell a stock, you would go in and then just choose whatever you want to choose. And you could choose a stop loss price. You could choose a stop loss percentage. So you could say, all right, so I bought a stock for $50. And like Jen said, it went up to 100 and I want to sell it at 50. If it goes below 75. So if it goes below 75, it's going to trigger that sell at 75. Okay. My dad always did it by percentages
to sell.
Correct. So you do the limit sell. Now my dad always did it by percentages because if it continues to climb after that, so let's say, obviously at 75, that'd be a 25% loss from that $100. But if you did a 25% loss instead, and then it goes up to $150, you're going to make a lot more than if it sold at 75. So that's why he uses the percentage stop loss instead, because if it continues to run, you'll end up making more money.
Oh, so it brings that floor up. Correct. So that 75 then becomes 85, 100 as the stock runs higher than 100.
Exactly. Yep. So it's always a percentage from wherever the highest price is. Now you also have to remember. That. So now a caveat in that is if you get a massive spike drop and there's no buyers for the price coming down, it may not trigger. So it's not guaranteed that you're going to sell it at that 6 or 12%, whatever it is, but you've at least got it in there. Most cases, 95, 99% of the time, it's going to trigger and you're going to be fine.
It's more about just what you're willing to lose.
Correct. Okay. Yeah. And it's about protecting your gains. So you protect your gains. And you can do that when you initially buy it too. If you buy a stock at a price, but all of a sudden, like we saw this year, it comes down further. Maybe you buy in and you say, you know what, I want to protect myself and I don't want to lose more than 10%. So as soon as you buy it, you put in a 10% loss and then kind of follow it from there. And then you ride it up. And if you hit that 8%, you change that 10% to 4%, protect your gains, and you're good to go.
You make your money work for you.
Correct. Yeah. So that's been his strategy. And like I said, he's been doing great with it. And there's a lot else that goes into it. He takes into account, is it a slow moving stock? Is he going to be looking for this long term? Now, for anybody who's going to be holding a stock, there's the difference between long-term and short-term gains. Long-term gains are any stock that you have held for more than a year. So you're going to make, when you have to pay taxes on those gains, it's going to be less because it's a long-term stock. I don't know, Jen, I don't know if you know this. I know. Did the tax code change on that?
What no, it didn't. And I can tell you that
is a tax
so
code.
here's some more people that will not be able to take advantage of that federal tax credit. If you're living off of long-term dividends or long-term capital gains, because they're taxed the same way, and say you're like married filing jointly and you don't have that many expenses, so you are withdrawing or cashing in like $80,000 or less, right? Well, your first $80,000 of capital gains and income combined, but if you're retired, you don't have any other income and you're just living off of that, let's just say, and you're cashing in like $70,000, you're not paying any taxes. It's tax-free. So you don't have any taxes to offset. And so that tax credit wouldn't do anything. But I did remember somebody, and I'm trying to think who it was. One of my Twitter friends said that, I think it was Caleb, said that he thinks that the 7,500 may become a credit at sale, towards the sale in 2024. So we have to look out for that. Or is that confirmed?
So from what I have learned from all of this, 2023, it's a tax credit. 2024, it turns into a rebate at the time of purchase.
Yep.
So that's important. Now, if you're like me and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to get this tax credit because of my specific tax situation, and there's going to be a lot of people who negate all their taxes. They're called landlords and military members and a lot of other people. I mean, possibly, So you just really have to know your taxes. They might want to wait till 2024, but then that tells us shareholders, we're going to have this compressed demand, that's really going to spike in 2024.
But Jen, don't forget that qualification for the tax credit still applies for that rebate in 2024.
Yeah, that's not a problem. The qualifications are not the issue. It's being able to reap the reward. So, the qualifications are not that hard. It's for a married couple, it's $300,000. Okay. That's on your gross income. So you can't make more than $300,000. There's a lot of people, if you're a couple, if you're single, it's $150,000. A lot of people are going to make that much or under that, for their gross. But then when you start taking your deductions, that's where you end up deducting all of your income away. So let's just say you're in the military and you make $100,000 a year, okay? And half of it is not taxable because it's like housing allowance, food allowance, blah, blah, blah. Say you're stationed in DC or Northern Virginia or something, right? So now you have $50,000 of taxable income. And then you own real estate and, you can run a real estate loss $25,000. So then now you only have $25,000 taxable income. And then you take the standard deduction of $25,000 and you have no taxable income. That can happen very easily. So, it's, I'm not saying that's I'm just saying it can. I have a landlord group of 23,000 military landlords. So I'm pretty familiar with their tax situations. And I'm concerned about any of those people just thinking that they're absolutely going to get $7,500 off their car in 2023. I just want to make sure everybody understands how the tax credit works and also how it's going to affect sales, because it sounds like 2024 is going to be banging.
Yeah. So, looking at what we've been talking about with, Fed's going to raise interest rates, may be going into a recession next year, most likely, if this is what's going to play out. May see a compression in everything across the board. Now, don't forget, everyone, that it's not a Tesla specific thing. It's just across the board. We're going to see it. But going into 2024, with everything turning, that could be when we start seeing those parabolic moves. We get the Cybertruck out. the robotaxi and the compact car possibly coming out at that time, FSD getting closer to being solved. A lot of great things are going to be happening. So 2023 might end up being that prime year to buy as much stock as you possibly can. Not financially.
Well, I think, before 2023, I think 2023 and then 2024 is when it's going to explode. Absolutely. Because I think that quantitative easing will be back at the end of 2023. I think that's what's going to happen is that interest rates are going to rise so fast. They're going to keep them high and then they're going to slam them back down because politics and pressure, and that's just what's going to happen. And the Fed's going to be, filling up their balance sheet again by the end of 2023. We'll have low interest rates and no one will have bought anything because they'll be like, we don't have any money. We don't want to borrow any money. So no one will buy anything all of 2023. 2024, everyone's going to buy everything.
Yeah. And one of the things that, I had thought about was, the Fed pivoting, I don't know if you guys saw the Chicken Genius chart that he had put up about the Fed when they pivot. When they pivot, we see a dip, very much like you see when a stock splits. You see that sell the news type situation and then a V bounce that comes out of it. If that's what's going to happen, we'll see probably a 6-month run. We'll get that inclination that Fed's going to pivot. We'll see a run going up into that. We'll see the spike down and then that sharp shoot right back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's usually the bottom of the market. That's what I'm waiting to see the Fed pivot, the actual pivot, not they slowed down. And no, I want to see interest rates turn the other way.
I think it's going to take longer than that though. I think that right now, they're using interest rates to gain back some of the money lost during all this pandemic stuff. And I don't really know their plan. Honestly, I'm not really educated on it. I just know it's a bunch of BS. But what I do know is that it's not healthy for our economy and it's only healthy for the government's pockets. And so we have to find a ways, socially as citizens to help turn that around in some way so it benefits our people.
Yeah, I think, and I know there's the big disconnect right now when it comes to the Fed because we've got inflation still going up with wages. So we've got wage inflation still there, despite the fact that we do have, normal inflation, CPI and PPI coming down. It's still high, but it is coming down. But wage inflation is still going up. Now, as from the workers' perspective, you're looking at it saying, well, we want to be able to, so many people that I know are we're living paycheck to paycheck more than we were before because prices are going up, but my pay hasn't gone up yet. So workers want that. The problem is you don't want to get into a wage price spiral where wages go up, prices go up, wages go up, prices go up. So that's adorable. So you've got to make sure you're careful with that. So it kind of stinks for the worker because the Fed's going to have to squash that before we get into a place where people can really catch up. So we're kind of in a lot of a disconnect across the board. And I think that's why the Fed is kind of just going to let the interest rate stay higher in that 4 to 5% range next year to kind of let everything settle. And so that's why next year is just going to be a higher interest rate year and it's going to stink.
Exactly. I agree.
The tightening really hasn't hit yet too. We're still gaining jobs every report. It's starting to. There's still a lot of margin out there. Personal savings rate are the lowest they've been since 2008. You're starting to see a rise in mortgage delinquencies, but yeah, it definitely is going to take some time to play out fully, I think.
Absolutely. And I would say everybody's pulling everything on everyone. So my taxes on my house, let's just talk about that for a second. They went up $2,000 in 1 year, $2,000.
I've heard a lot of that coming.
And so I was just on the phone with my mortgage company, what is going on? Because I didn't get a letter from the state. I didn't get a letter from my county, nothing saying here's your new assessment. So
where are you? What area?
I'm in Colorado, in the mountains.
Okay.
So they're taxing us higher in certain areas. They're okay, this is how we make our money back.
That's a big jump though, $2,000.
It was over 50%. It was about a 65%.
But
jump.
it's $2,000 for the year though, right?
For the year. So it used to be $1,455 were my taxes before, and they jumped $2,000.
Yeah,
I'm from New York. I'm that's nothing. I'm because in I'm from Long Island. You could pay $2,000 a month in taxes.
Well, yeah, you guys are a little bit more expensive than here. I think here
Yeah.
you can get a 2-bed, 1-bath, about 800 square feet for about $600,000.
Yeah, no, I mean, the housing prices are probably even less expensive on Long Island than that. It's the taxes that are going to get you, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, I help a bunch of friends. It's one of the things I do on the side, and just not a financial advisor, but I help them with their finances because I'm really good at it. And from what I've been hearing from a bunch of them is they're getting notifications almost on a monthly basis. And they're like, why is my mortgage going up?
Exactly.
And they're like, it's because taxes are going up. And because you've got it escrowed in there, you're getting whacked with it. I'm like,
Or
wow,
their insurance. They should probably shop their insurance, you know.
Yeah, my insurance went up as well, but not enough for me to care.
I got $4,000 fire insurance, and it's only 2 companies in this country that will insure my house. When I try to change it, they say you should not because no one wants to insure your house. You're in the high fire zone. So for the whole year, it's $9,000.
Oh my
Wow.
wow.
That's
That's
crazy.
a lot. My property tax this year is $19,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. A lot.
It's just tired.
Oh yeah.
For the
No.
tax.
Now, Vin, you've been
Yeah.
you've been shopping for houses recently too. What have you been seeing out there right now?
I have. I'm also from New York, trying to get out and put in an offer
Ben, where
on
are
a
you
house.
from in New York?
Westchester,
Okay.
just
Very
outside
nice.
the city. But so moving to Delaware, put in an offer on a house down there, and yeah, all the New Yorkers who don't move to Florida or Texas move to Delaware.
Yep.
Much cheaper there for
Yep.
sure. The taxes are like 1/30th of what they are here.
Same in Virginia. They really are. Like, I mean, my family in New York's like, how much are your real estate taxes? They're like, that's not even 1/10 of ours. And I'm like, I know. That's why we live here.
So Vin, how did your house hunting go? Because I know you just were down in Delaware recently.
It went well. We toured, all over. It's a small state, so we were able to see a lot and found one. So we'll see if it works out. We're just kind of going through the inspection process and everything now. But yeah, excited. Been trying to move out of New York for some time now because it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, why pay, taxes? Like you said, it's like $2,000 a month if you're lucky. 24 grand a year in taxes for what exactly? Couldn't tell you. I mean, that's a salary. That's a lot of Tesla shares. There's a lot of things you could do with that money.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's nuts. And I know, like, I'm searching myself too. And when you mentioned Delaware, I'm like, I may not be bad. Like, I'm in Connecticut. My kid's here. He wants to go to school in Rhode Island, but buying real estate here is I don't know, man. The amount of opportunity that's out there in so many other states. I don't know if I want to stick in Connecticut.
Yeah, your money definitely goes a lot further.
Speaking of,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was going to say, especially if you know, like your specific tax situation, and if you have like a certain circumstance and everything, you may want to check into. Oh, hi, Tony. But you may want to think about, if you. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Dang it.
Sorry.
Anyways. Every state has some different like tax situations. So some of them don't have income tax, right? Or some of them have tax exemptions for veterans. What other things do some of them have? Some of them don't have that stupid personal property tax that Virginia has. Virginia has all the taxes because it's amazing to live here. We have all the seasons. We have all the amazing things. We have beaches and mountains. And so they're like, we're just going to charge you everything. And we're like, I guess so. Okay. But yeah,
I thought Connecticut and California were the tax states.
Yeah, no, I mean, Virginia it's not so much, but it's just a pain. There's just a lot of taxes. But like Florida, there's no income tax. There's no personal property tax. I think they get you on registration, but I mean, like the registration's not that bad. It's a couple $100. If you own like a big RV, the difference could be like $20,000 from what state you live in. Like it's crazy. So, think about all of your whole lifestyle when you're moving.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about Tesla insurance. So that was just recently brought to Colorado.
Yeah.
So I'm part of that.
So now, what states are they in? Because I haven't been following that as
To
closely
my
as I
knowledge,
should have been.
California and Colorado, and I don't really know if there's any other states. But for me, so I was with State Farm. I'll go ahead and name them. And I had just added my teen driver. So my insurance rate was $256 a month on my Tesla, full coverage, the upgrades, whatever. And so I switched to Tesla when it came out. I was like, well, I'm definitely going to go with them. They know what all our parts are worth. They know, it just would be more simpatico, I would call it. So my insurance rate dropped to $96 a month for more coverage.
Wow.
But what it
The
does,
Tesla insurance is lit.
isn't it? And so what it does though, is that you have to drive safe. It rates you every month. I don't know if it's like the little progressive thing, but it's like hard braking, but it also tells me like when my son drives the car, what he's doing wrong. So it's like super informational. It's super great.
My progressive, me and my husband used to be 380 and now we pay 180.
Wow.
And
that's a whole Tesla share.
Yeah.
The
I
cover
see.
is like I can go hit Lamborghini and I don't feel bad about it. the cover was pretty good. The cover like $500,000.
Yeah.
Which is progressive cover like 50,000. I cannot even hit the Camry. Like
wow. I was gonna say, like for me here in Connecticut,
is so much different.
Yeah, we don't have Tesla insurance in Connecticut because we're a legacy automotive state lover. And so for us, I actually talked to my friend and she's an insurance agent. I can actually get Tesla insurance for the same price through her that I pay for my CRV right now, which I thought was insane. So it's like $89 a month for insurance. I was like, wow. Now, granted, I would love to personally have the Tesla insurance because the other benefits you get along with it.
Yeah.
But since I don't have it in Connecticut, the fact that I can get insurance that low was crazy.
Is that what everyone is finding now? That like insuring a Tesla is less expensive than insuring an ICE vehicle?
Yes.
Okay, because of like what the safety features and Sentry mode and all that, or
safety, Sentry mode. It's how it's the safety ratings on the car itself. I mean, Teslas are the safest car made ever.
Right.
Like all of them. And so I think that's a lot of it. And they know like you're insuring a car that no longer has like a million parts and engines and gaskets and exhaust and like you have a smaller amount of parts.
Oh, there we go. Hold on. Arizona, California. Look at that.
You have to.
Sorry, I just saw that. Oh, I'm like, oh, look, all the states are right there. That makes sense. Well, oh, yay, Virginia. What I was worried about, though, is because we don't have a lot of parts, like if something breaks, that's like half the car's broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not really, because it's so super simple to fix.
Okay.
Yeah. And then don't forget that most of the repairs that need to get done, sometimes it's mostly software over the air updates.
Exactly. And people don't understand how simple it is. So here's an example. I, on the side, I property managed in Aspen, but besides that, I was an electrical engineer for many years. But now I help a STEM program, high school STEM program, and we build solar powered RC race cars kits. And so we teach these high schoolers how to build a solar panel, how to build a battery, and how to connect it all and how to make it work. And it's a super cool program. We are sponsored by Tesla now.
Nice.
And
that's awesome.
We have our first race in Reno at the Tesla test track coming up in April. And so just being able to teach kids about that and like, it's so simple. And that's when we first started doing this, we were making it too difficult. We were building it like an ICE vehicle, if you would call it that way, like an old RC. And then we learned like, why are we doing it this way? It can be simple, like an EV can be simple. And so we just started making it more simple because that's what we needed to do for these kids' brains. So this program is more about Elon recruiting these kids for future battery builders, future PV array builders. And so it's just a really cool thing to be part of.
So now that brings me and spurs my brain on, if he's doing that there, we haven't heard anything about it recently, but the college he was thinking about bringing up, the Texas Institute of Technology and Sciences, do we think that, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. When he first said that, I thought they vertically integrate everything else with their business. The only thing they don't have is vertical integration with their staff and their talent. So hearing you say that leads me to believe that this is actually going to be something that happens in the future.
It is. It's happening in April and it's happening in June.
That's awesome. I love it. I love that.
Wow.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense because he has Ad Astra, which is the school that he made for his kids, and some other executives at both SpaceX and Tesla. And they've had that school for a while, and his kids are going to age out of it. He's going to need a university. I mean, he's had complete control of his kids' education.
He doesn't believe in university.
Huh?
He doesn't believe in university.
I mean, he went to Stanford, so.
But he doesn't believe in it. He doesn't believe you need a college education to.
No, I know, but he also wants engineers, though. Like, he's going to need people to be trained.
Do that. I didn't go to college for engineering, but I became an engineer. So he knows you can do it without that.
I know, but what I'm saying is he may have like a facility that he's going to want to train people at. He's joked about TITS.
It could be like a training facility. I would see it more as that than a college facility. It wouldn't have like the college criteria. So I don't know if he'd be able to call it that.
You know, I mean, I could see him meeting the college criteria just so, you know, people would want to go because people are going to want that degree, you know, if they're going to spend the time to do things.
I
to get federal funding.
Like it's like a necessity. Like,
yeah, I'm going to have to disagree. The only reason I disagree is because nowadays we see so many college students graduating and doing nothing because they cannot get a job. A college degree today does not hold the same value that it used to in the past.
And yet so many people still pay $100,000 for one. So explain that, you know.
It's all because that's the culture. That's because that's what we're taught.
I know. And the culture is probably going to persist. So, I mean, and plus, like, if they want funding, like, you have to fund the university. How are you going to fund the university? You're going to want to be able to get, you know, the student loans and everything. You can't get student loans if you don't have a degree program. Huh?
Tesla's got a lot of free cash. If they're going to pay to train their own people for 4 years, hell yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat.
100%. That's what my son is working towards. Like, he just graduated. He's going to do the ski mountain this year and have his year off, which I think is awesome. He's going to work for the ski resort and he gets to ski all day long and like get some of that out of his system, which is great. And then he's like really good with coding and things like that. And then he'll apply for Tesla or Neuralink or something. And he doesn't have to have a degree because it's not important. The problem with a degree, and this is, you know, from personal experience or friends and things like that, is they train you the way they want you to be. But not every business is the same way. Whereas they don't want you trained that way. They want to train you the way they want you trained so that you do things their way. And I think that that's what's been lost in the university transition to corporate world. And the corporate world's going away. Like, this is going to be more like industrial, like working with AI, working with robots, working with things like that. Farming still has to exist. So that's a good field to go into. I think that's a lot of what Elon's brother is doing, which is super cool. But some of these other jobs, like there's not like, this is just, the world is changing at a very fast pace and education is becoming a different sort of thing. Like I guess, unless you're going to be like a doctor or like where you have to be super trained in surgeons and dentistry and things like that, like veterinarian, it's not going to be the same. Engineering is not the same anymore. Building things isn't the same anymore. It's not the same kind of world.
Yeah, I think about tech schools a lot and the fact that, you know, tech schools, you're not paying for this big degree just to get this degree. You're learning a skill. And for Tesla trying to say, hey, we want the best talent, we will actually go out and pay you to come to our school so that we can get you trained the way we want you to and get the best minds here. I think we're going to see a huge reversal in what we see in tech and schooling.
I do not think that it would be a good idea to pay people to come to school. It would be a huge expense and you don't know what you would be getting. You don't know how they would perform. Like I think that like people should have to like prove themselves in the training or do like a apprenticeship or something and then apply, you know, and then go on to the job if they are good. Listen,
it's not about that.
I was a department head at university. I'm telling you right now, I know how this works, matriculation rates and like how people perform. And you're always going to have, there are going to be a certain amount of people that do not do well for whatever reason. They like drop out because of personal reasons. They move, their life changes, whatever. They don't want to finish the program. You can't just they're not indentured servants. You can't like make them stay, you know? So that would just get that would get a little froggy. I know it sounds really great, but I don't think that it would work because you can't.
That's the difference is they don't want somebody trained. They don't want somebody with qualifications. They want somebody they can train that has talent.
It's almost like we see with AI Day where there's, it's more of a recruiting event. I think it'd be similar to that where they would have a recruiting event, have people come on and they can say, hey, we're going to take a look at all of you, and almost like a scholarship type thing of not.
I mean, maybe in the far future. Right now, they're hiring engineers right now, though.
Right. Yeah. I think this is, in the next 10 years, something that's going to be coming down the road, but I think it's going to end up working out where they'll have something like, hey, we're going to have AI Day. We saw this year, it's 2022 and not just AI Day 2. So every year they're going to have a recruiting event and say, hey, these are the people we want. Come here, see what we've got to offer. Awesome. Now we have a school and a training program we can put you guys through, and it'll be an official training program for them.
It's like, what do you want to learn to do? Like, how did you score here? Join our team. We'll train you.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be like a huge university type thing, sports teams and all that. It's going to be a small technical school with specific people coming there that they want to come to their school.
And that's what our program, like you have to think about, like you think 10 years in the road, but it's happening now. And that's the part of the program that I'm with right now.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that in the future. I think that's going to be huge for the talent, because that's the one thing that, I mean, obviously SpaceX and Tesla are the two top places that engineers want to go. And I think that'll be the next thing that they need is their specific training program for all of these people.
Correct. Well, I will send pictures when I have stuff of like.
Yes, definitely.
It'll be fun. But.
Awesome. Well, we have been on for almost an hour and a half. Is there anything else you guys want to discuss before we get off tonight?
I think it's been like so lovely being with all you guys. Like, I really appreciate being
yes,
with
this has been
fun.
Awesome. Yes, you guys have been awesome.
I
and
learned a lot. Thank you.
Let me see here.
It was nice to see everyone tonight.
You as well.
Yes, and here you go. Great show all. Thank you, Douglas. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. So if you guys do not follow all of these lovely people on Twitter or YouTube, I will put all the links in the pinned comment below after we get off of this. So definitely follow all of them. Very brilliant people on here.
Oh, and before I forget, I totally forgot. Dr. Jack and I are doing Twitter Spaces. Dr. Jack and I are going to be on Twitter Spaces next Wednesday at 4:00. So please join us. I will tweet about it though, and I will tweet out a link. So, but yes.
That'll be an awesome show. Definitely tune into that one. Otherwise, we will see you all later. Thank you all so much. We appreciate you being on. Have a great one.
You too. Thanks, Tim.